messing around. Oh, Hannah Simone. How are you?
It's going to be a ride today on the podcast because I haven't had coffee in a month.
What? What are you doing?
And last night I just got back very late at night from a trip to a wedding in Texas, and woke up early to do the podcast. So,
oh wow,
I'm on a ride today.
Are you in Texas or are you at home?
I'm at home, but I'm on a ride now.
You on a ride now?
When you haven't had something, when you've like cut something out of your like diet for a long time, and then you're like, this coffee's hitting like crazy.
How do you think?
You know what the first thought I had in my head, which is funny, you're wearing a hat today. The first thought I had about what I wanted to ask you today, this is what the coffee's doing to my brain, was how long from when you step out of the shower does it take for your hair to be completely dry? Seconds? Minutes?
I would say minutes because I have very short hair.
Yeah, I know. So
I dry it off with a towel. Oh, do you not take a towel to it first, or you just walk out? Yeah,
no. So I take a towel to it.
Yeah, it's pretty quick because I do a whole thing. I put like some pomade in there. I brush it. I stick on a do-rag.
So like maybe 3 minutes, 5 minutes before it's fully dry?
Before it's fully dry, I'm going to say like 8 minutes.
See, I'm in the hours situation. So for me to do this podcast this morning and to wash my hair, because I was on like a, grimy plane ride, I had to wake up hours before to like wash my hair and then dry it. And I was like, I bet you Lamorne could take a shower 5 minutes before the podcast and his hair would look perfect and be all dry and great. And I was like, man, these inequities. I'm going to start a rally.
Did not shower before the podcast.
I can smell you from here.
I know. I did not shower.
We live neighborhoods away.
And when my hair is not feeling right, I just stick a hat on. And today is a very special hat.
B
for
the bear. I can't see that. It's too tiny.
It's a Chicago Bears.
This is how I feel like you low-key missed the bear segment.
No, I just really, if you know me, I'm a troll, and I like making fun of people and mocking people, and I would prefer people do the same back to me. But you and this bear thing, I love the ups and downs of it. It's a roller coaster. It's really amusing to me.
This is one of the most memorable episodes I feel like we're going to dive into today. Keaton.
Yes.
Keaton. We did a lot of Halloween episodes. It feels like Halloween and Thanksgiving were Liz Merriweather's maybe favorite holidays or something.
I could see why. I love them.
Because we did several and they were all bangers. And this one was written by Dave Finkel and Brett Baer.
Yes. Directed by David Katzenberg.
Yeah, I mean, this is just like murderer's row here of who did this episode. So do you want to dive into our little recap and then we'll get into it?
Okay, imagine spooky music is playing underneath.
Ooh, we gotta lay that in there now.
Dun, dun, it's Halloween night. And in order to get Schmidt out of his funk and more importantly, to not attend their party, Jess, Nick, and Winston pretend to be Michael Keaton. That's right, Batman, Schmidt's childhood hero. The plan backfires, leading to Schmidt and Cece seeing each other for the first time since the breakup, and Schmidt moving out of the loft into apartment 4C, which is across the hall. Okay. So that's it. We're going to go to break. We'll be right back. And we are back. So let's dive right in, Hannah. Like you said, this is a memorable episode. Just before we start, some of the things that I remember. I remember this fish costume. I remember this. In fact, I remember that more than I remember anything about the episode because I would see GIFs of that, and I would always go, "What episode was that when he was wearing that ridiculous ass costume?" You know what I mean? And I just for some reason that stuck into my head because it was so silly.
Yeah, the costumes were really silly. I was actually hoping for a super silly costume for Cece, but it was like a leopard skin bra and like a mini skirt and like
Flintstones?
because I'm not someone myself who does like sexy Halloween costumes. I feel like Halloween costumes should be like silly and fun.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, all right, this is what we're doing. But it did make sense for storylines because if you see your ex looking fly,
that's true.
Makes you rethink some of your choices.
I don't know if you do. I don't know.
No? You don't have a moment sometimes if your ex walks by and looks like so gorgeous, like the hottest they've ever looked, and then you just go like, ooh.
I go, nah, she for the streets. You know, she's not for me no more. She's not for me. She left me. Broke my heart. Go ahead.
You know what that
she
just
didn't
sounded
dress
like?
up for me.
The beginning of all those really good Jodeci songs.
Oh,
when they would just do that low talk first, and then they would just like hit some crazy high note and stay there.
Mm-hmm. Or like H-Town.
H-Town. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so
right. I told you this coffee's going to have me all over the map. Listen, when you guys jump into the comments, no, I'm trying my best.
Okay, we'll get started. We'll break this down on a basic level. In apartment 4C, Jess holds a secret meeting, right? Mm-hmm. You know what? Hold on. Let me go back. Yeah. So in apartment 4C, Jess has a secret meeting with Winston and Nick to talk about Schmidt and how she's extremely worried about him. You know, he hasn't been to work in days and he just sits on the couch eating cold cuts. Winston and Nick both believe that this apartment is haunted with the ghost of the previous tenant who died in there on the toilet. There's always something funny about, it's not funny. I don't want to say it's funny. But when you hear stories about people dying on a toilet, like it's just like, man, they died. That's tragic enough.
Elvis, right? Like that's
Elvis died on the toilet?
Yeah. Did you not know that?
Nah, I don't be like researching Elvis.
That's why it's the whole thing. Like Elvis died on the throne.
Oh,
yeah. The king died on the throne. You've never heard that before? That's the only person I know that's like ever died on the toilet. Am I right saying this? Is the coffee playing tricks on my brain?
No, I mean, listen, I trust you.
That is correct. Joel said that's correct. All right, see, there you go. So I wondered if it was like, if like Dave or Brett were like low-key making a like Elvis reference.
Because
that's like, if you're going to get haunted. Elvis haunting you is not the worst.
Oh, not at all. Well, it depends on which Elvis. Like drunk, sweaty Elvis, nah, don't haunt me. Like cool Elvis, who's like giving you cool advice. Let's say you're on a date.
Jailhouse Rock Elvis, you're like, come in.
I'm like, should I go talk to that girl? And he's like, oh.
Maybe Elvis references are my new bear.
Oh, Lord.
There was a whole... You better go find an Elvis toque to wear.
Oh my God.
Try to taunt me with your hats. Okay.
Okay. So, Jess, obviously the whole gang, here's the thing. Schmidt, when he gets into these modes, it's so funny. It's so strange, but it's so funny.
Sad Schmidt.
Right. She misses the old Schmidt and she's saying that she can't have him around because she's throwing a party. And Nick is like, I'll talk to him. He goes to try to talk to him, and what's Schmidt doing? He's on the couch. He's watching Obama speak, and he says nothing matters, and he's eating turkey, and then he does something that this is one of those things that Black people think, and I could be speaking for myself here. I'm going to generalize here for a second. We used to think that this is how white people ate mayonnaise.
What,
he just takes the bottle and squirts it in his mouth.
Yeah.
For some reason,
quite a few people, and they all are of the Caucasian descent, who like a jar of mayo and a spoon is like a preferred consumption. I will say that.
Now, taste wise, I've never tried it, but because it goes great on a sandwich.
Yeah.
But I go, what is that a real thing, or is this just us being racist? This is what
we are making a mass generalization about a race.
Because when I was coming, there's a whole movie on it, Undercover Brother, where Eddie Griffin, like the kryptonite is the mayonnaise. And it's like a whole thing that, I can't quite get out of my head. So when I saw it, I was like, why is that weird? Isn't that?
Maybe this was just, we got to a season finally where the writers were like, we've got to balance out these little micro stereotypes we were enforcing.
Yes.
And we're just going to balance it out, and we're going to make Schmidt eat mayo straight up. Maybe that's just a balance in the universe of New Girl.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Anyway, it was disgusting. Meanwhile, Winston, my character is carving a pumpkin, right? Which I did recently, which is, it's the first year I actually carved pumpkins. It's very difficult.
It's difficult. They give you that little set with the teeny knife and the teeny little saw, and you're trying to do it, and you're like, this is genuine. How are children supposed to do this?
Yeah, I was like, at any given moment, I'm going to cut my finger off. And
That's right.
I was like, this is crazy. And my daughter kept wanting to come up next to it while I'm like carving. I'm like, no, wait, baby. And because I don't know,
then all of a
I
sudden
can't
you're
trust
like
this
alone
knife.
carving a pumpkin. You're like, what are we doing?
Yeah, like, why did she don't care.
No, that's when you just like get a Sharpie. Just draw on it. That's fine. It puts some like candles around it and you're fine.
Yeah.
Well, we just solved shrine. Halloween. Next.
Yeah, I know. Well, Wix is carving a pumpkin. Schmidt grabs it, smashes it, and it's getting ridiculous. And Jess, she wants to talk about the party. But Schmidt, he's aware. He knows that she doesn't want him there. So he says he'll just stay at home. But oh, wait. Mi casa, su casa.
Diabolical. He's so diabolical.
I mean, when he gets on these master plans, I think it's one of the funniest things.
I think it's because Max just liked doing it so much. He loved being a little like bit of a bad boy.
Oh yeah. Now here's the funny part about this is where things get a little interesting. Winston, he's like, hey, listen, I think there is one option. Whenever Schmidt gets like this, we got a remedy for this situation, but it is tricky. And Nick doesn't want to do it. Nick doesn't want to be involved with this. Winston tells him, hey, man, I think it's time for Schmidt to get a letter from an old friend.
Yeah.
And immediately he's like, nope, can't go there. And then the flashback of, like, I wonder how many times this has happened to me. Like, my mom has done something like this and I don't know about it. Just straight up lie. She sent him letters from Michael Keaton as Batman to cheer him up. And obviously Nick and Winston carried on that tradition for years. And
my favorite thing is the letters would appear anytime he had a problem, like bullies, makes sense. Schoolwork, makes sense. Public erections.
Which is always great for the viewer.
You know what I actually didn't realize? I was talking to some friends, mixed gender group, and this came up because we watched some teenage boys go by and they were just like, we were just chatting about being teenagers and remembering. And then all the guys in the group were talking about, like, not in a funny way, like how one of the worst things about being a teenage boy was for absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
In public or at school, you would just get these, hello, sirs.
But they're not for no reason. Like, I can give you a list of reasons.
Like, you could touch the edge of the desk wrong standing up and you're like, well, that's happened.
Right. There could be, your teacher could walk in and you're like, oh, okay. A draft could come by. Oh, boy.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like, can you answer this question? Oh, I'm excited. You know what I mean? Like, that's a real thing.
They should do kind of like public erection sensitivity training, I feel like, to teachers. Because if a kid, like you'd have to stand up at school to like read something or do something. And like, what if you just like can't? And so I feel like there should be like an age range where they're like, just let the boys stay seated until they're ready to stand up. Yeah,
I feel like that right now this generation is very blunt and honest. I feel like I can't. I'm hard right now.
Sorry, Miss Jackson.
Sorry, Miss Jackson. Woo.
Okay, well, we solved that. Moving on.
Yes. So he gets these letters, right? And they decide, you know what? Or Jess asks if she can use Michael Keaton again. And Nick he's not for it. He just won't do it. And Nick, obviously, he hates lying to his best friend. They leave the room and they leave Jess alone. And obviously Jess does. Jess gonna do what Jess gonna do.
That's right.
And she emailed him. Right? Now, meanwhile, we're at Cece's place. Cece, let's talk about this for a second. Is this the first time we've seen your place look like this? Your place was a disaster. It was a dumpster fire.
I feel like it. I feel like we started to now, the second season, kind of like push a little deeper into Cece's life this way. See that she just doesn't have it all together.
Yeah. You definitely didn't. What I found to be very interesting about it was like it was the next day and you were still on the couch, almost like you just finished drinking.
Yeah.
It was. I was like, wait.
You don't remember those days where you're just like, I'm a bender, and then you're just like, you don't know how to get off the bus?
Hannah, no, I'm a professional. I've never been in one of those
I do
moments.
remember them struggling in hair and makeup because I have very stereotypical Indian hair.
Yes.
So it's great hair. And it kind of just always looks like this. Kind of nice. And they were trying to make it look like a disaster. And they were just like, no, like she needs to look a wreck. The hair needs to be all over the place. And they were trying to like tease it out and pull it. Like they were trying all these things. I remember Aaron O'Malley coming over and being like, she needs to look a lot worse. Like you guys have to make this happen. And then my hair would just right before it would roll, like fall really pretty. And and I was like, I don't know. Hair acting is not something I'm really in control of. I don't know how to help you guys.
It's not your strongest suit. No, it's
not my strongest suit. No, the hair is, it's a terrible actor, my hair.
Yeah, mine can look bad. I'm okay, and I know that.
And the whole 8 minutes you have to manipulate it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so she goes into your place, and she asks if Cece's coming to the party.
But she doesn't want to run into the ex. She doesn't want to do it, which I understand. That makes perfect sense.
I don't mind running into an ex. I don't mind.
I feel like you though have had like you are like pretty good terms with people.
I think so. There's only one ex that I'm not, but I wouldn't mind, running into her and just being like, boo,
So now you need to do that Halloween party so you can make all this happen.
Yeah, I know.
Make that moment happen. All right. So they get a pinky promise. He's not going to be there. I've taken care of it, which is like you kind of have to follow through with that. You can't just then jump scare your best friend with an ex at a party, especially when you can see your best friend is like in it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So stakes are high.
Stakes are very high. Now Jess, she walks into the loft. She's got this big bag of candy. She just went trick-or-treating. And just then Schmidt walks in and lets everybody know that he changed his mind about the party. Because he's been emailing with an old friend who convinced him that he needs to give Cece some space. Mm-hmm. And Schmidt reveals to the group, it's Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Yep. Out of Jess acting surprised about it. And Winston and Nick are like, oh, shit.
This made me have a question for you. Mm-hmm. Who was your first famous friend, way more famous than you, that you kind of felt like, oh man, when they hear who my friend is, like it's going to give me instant clout and cool points. You know what I'm saying? Where you're just like, I know this person. There's numbers on my phone. This is crazy.
Well, I would say Jaleel White was probably. I'd say Jaleel White.
Every time you say Jaleel White, I go straight back to El Carmen, into the worst moment of my life.
Uh-oh. Oh, was that when you ripped my shirt open? Is that moment?
Talk about it.
I just bought this shirt. It was so lovely.
This is so bad.
Such
this
a
story
lovely
is so bad.
button up. And I don't know what you Jaleel's there. You just go, what is this shirt? I forget what you said. Like,
no, you know what it was?
No, you thought there were snap buttons.
Snap buttons. I got excited. It was a snap button shirt. I saw you. I thought it'd be really funny. I, at that time, did not know Jaleel more than Urkel. I didn't know, and I was a huge fan of that show. So I was like, oh, this will be funny. He's a funny guy. And so I thought I would snap button your shirt and ripped it with all my strength. Very strong. And instead, buttons went flying across this bar.
Yes.
And it was like an El Luchador kind of bar, right? They have all the masks all around.
El Carmen, yeah.
El Carmen, one of my favorite bars ever on 3rd Street in LA. And and the look on your face, because I had just destroyed in 1 second this brand new expensive shirt, and I had no idea. And then I was like, I must immediately go home. This is the most embarrassing situation. So Jaleel was your first little braggadocious moment of having a fancy friend.
Yeah, it was interesting because he was so nice. Like when I first met him, he was very
so nice.
He would give me advice on things. He just helped me navigate my way through Los Angeles, and now I thought that was rather cool of him. Yeah, I would say it was probably him. What about you?
Keaton.
Kanye?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I honestly think probably when we started doing this show and I was like entering Zoe's number into my phone, I was like, wow, this is like, this is like real. Like it's a really weird like crossover moment of art and life where I'm like pretending to be your best friend and then we are growing like this real friendship.
Yeah.
And it was like a really, like, there were so many moments on the show where I felt that, where it was like, there was like this weird, like parallel stream going of art and life happening at the same time.
Yeah.
And that was definitely one of them. I was like, wow. So maybe Zoe.
Maybe Zoe. I thought you were going to say Kanye, but yeah.
Still have, oh, that's not true. I met Kanye once.
Oh, okay.
Just once. He dropped his hat. This story is also ridiculous. I've told you this story. I just moved to LA. I was dating someone at the time, and he walked by down the street at like 1 PM with Amber Rose at the time. And his toque that looks like yours dropped out of his back pocket. And my boyfriend at the time, like a excited tiny child that had found like hidden lollipops, got up, freaked out, ran over, picked up the hat and like bowed down like out of Bridgerton and was like, oh yay, you dropped your headgear,
your hats up.
Your hats up. And Kanye was just like, thanks, and then walked off. And then he came back and was like flushed and has told the story forever. And it was his reaction that makes me remember the story, not so much the fact that it was Kanye.
I get it. I understand.
All right, okay. Okay, all right, okay. Back to the episode.
You know what I love about this moment? When Schmidt leaves, Nick and Winston, they tell Jess that she has no idea the can of worms she's just opened. Right. And, Nick goes, they have no idea how he would react if it were real. It's a real Truman Show situation. So Winston is he's like, yeah, which part are you talking about? Like, yeah, the middle. He's like, no, I'm not convinced you'd see this. I feel like I've done that before, but I'm like, when people talk about, back in the day when people used to talk about Star Wars, I would go, yeah, I know, man. It's crazy. Or when people would make Friends references, like, that's a Chandler move, I would go, so Chandler, that's crazy. Never seen these things. Don't you do that though?
Because sometimes it's easier than explaining. I've never seen it. And then they have the same reaction the whole time. And you're just like, I don't have to tell you, like, I still haven't seen it. So you can have this whole reaction, but like,
just like moving on.
I'm not going to change. Yeah, moving on. So I'm just going to be like, yeah, totally. I do that all the time, I feel like.
Yeah.
I can't deal with a conversation about this thing that I still don't know about. So move on.
Exactly. So there's all this back and forth about the issues of why. I mean, we spent a lot of time in this episode breaking down like why this is a problem. The college dorm situation where Schmidt's confused because in '95, Keaton said he had never been to Nicaragua. You know what I mean?
Getting caught in a long lie. Getting caught in a long lie. That's hard.
100%.
Yeah. So it's delicate. And she has no idea all the little lies he's told to build up this particular Keaton.
So she's like, okay, let's just keep sending them then. Just trying to like backtrack and back, email her way out of the situation. Right. So she gets the laptop, sends another email from Keaton. And then they go to Schmidt's room to find him on the bed eating a block of cheese. And he lets them know that, he's sad because, he left him again because he's on vacation. Anyway, this is again back to depressed Schmidt, which I could probably watch an entire season of this, like just a really depressed Max Greenfield and all the shenanigans all the bits that he would do. So, we cut back to Jess, Nick, and Winston. They're across the hall again in 4C. Nick puts on the Batman mask, this really bootleg plastic makeshift Batman mask. I feel like he would have done easier to just go to a store and grab one. But they all agree.
Channel Keaton. He's getting into character. He's got to get in the right headspace to get back in it to make sure that he can save the situation because it's a delicate mental health moment for our sweet Schmidt.
100%. And the reason why he's doing it because he has to get into the mindset. You had to get into that mindset. You need inspiration. And then
keep talking.
And then all of a
inspiration.
Sudden, all of a sudden, they whip out a picture of a brown bear.
There we go. Yep.
A brown bear. That one felt so intentional. That one felt, you know what that one felt like? It felt like we had already been recording this podcast and then they went back.
They time traveled.
Yes.
Brett Bear wrote the episode, put in an intentional bear. You showed up in a bear's toque and everybody went, Hannah needs to bring that bear segment back for when we do season 4.
For all those Americans out there, toque is a hat. That's what they call like a beanie in the Canadian
toque
world.
Is better. But also what's crazy is toque is spelled Toque.
Of course it is. You guys in your cues.
Bonjour.
You guys in your cues. So Jess reads the email. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. Nick says he stole that part from Nelson Mandela, but he did add the part about the penguin and the Riddler. Now, at this point, Schmidt gets the email, but then there's a knock at the door, right? It's a bunch of kids trick-or-treating, and he sends the email, but he hears a chime across the hall.
This made me, I forgot about this part of the episode, and I genuinely got stressed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Because imagine that. Imagine going through that situation where you're about to catch, where all of your, like, things are being revealed before your very eyes, and it's like a weird
discover
truth.
The whole part of your life was a lie.
100%. 100%.
So terrible.
When I realized Michael Jordan might be my father, I was like, what, Mom? You got some explaining to do. Now, Schmidt wakes his way over to apartment 4C, opens the door, and through the cracks of the door, who does he see? Winston, Nick, Jess, huddled around a laptop, and he hears them typing the email from Keaton. We'll be right back.
Bum, bum, bum.
And we are back. I love the fact that we found the bear, Hannah. I do want to discuss this for a second.
I honestly, here's the truth of it. You have mentioned the bear and the bear segment so much more in this season of our podcast than you ever did when we had the segment in the first season of the podcast. Yeah. So I'm going to say this. I told you I'm going to do an episode at the end of this season where I then do my proof. We're going to consolidate it all so all the fans can go there and see it. But I feel like I'm like well within my rights to like bring it back because I think you low-key, high-key miss it.
Well, it was a staple, to be quite honest with you, but it wasn't a staple for informational purposes for the audience. It was a staple because the audience, and they all agree, they loved mocking you and your failures to find the bear. That was the thing. That's a fun game with the kids out there is to like point fingers at you and laugh.
I feel like you're just referring to yourself in like the royal we, but you're calling it like the audience, and this is just you loving to razz me during the segment.
Fans. I've spoken to the fans. Like I've had individual conversations with everyone. I respond to all the emails, all the DMs, and I go, "Yeah, Hannah's out of her mind. She's crazy. Let's keep pointing at her and laughing."
Cheers. I welcome it. Have a giggle on me.
Well,
Halloween party is happening.
Oh yeah, I love a good Halloween party.
Which
Halloween
is, by the way, I would
favorites.
like to say the last time we saw each other was at a Halloween party.
Yes, it definitely was.
Yeah, we went to Zoe's house.
Yes, she throws one hell of a Halloween party.
Oh, we had a great little Halloween party. And what I just realized is I did dress with cat ears at that Halloween party. I can't believe no pictures.
Yeah, we didn't really take. I think I
didn't take a picture together, which is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah,
but I did have cat ears as I just made fun of Cece's costume. I kind of low key channeled it. That's kind of funny.
What was I that day? I was Mickey Mouse.
You were Mickey Mouse, but you were basically just in like pajamas.
Yeah, it was the easiest Mickey Mouse costume to wear. It was like sweatpants that would like Mickey Mouse sweatpants, and also Mickey Mouse hoodie with some ears. And my daughter was Minnie Mouse. No tail. I did have a tail.
Was there a tail?
Yeah, joke's on you, fool. I had a tail.
Man, if I had seen it, I would have
It was Velcro, so somebody probably did rip it off.
You lost your tail like a
lizard. I
lizard.
don't know where that tail is. Then Zoe's lost and found.
Okay, so now some great costumes. As always, the show loved a pun when it came to the costumes on New Girl. Joey Ramona Quimby. Great costume. And she looked hella cute.
I loved...
Nick's is great.
Oh my God, he's a paper mountain trash king.
Just to make up when people go like, "What are you?" and you look at yourself and you didn't really fully do it. I got to give yourself a title to make it seem like you did something. That's Nick.
Paper mountain trash king. And Winston walks in as David Letterman.
I can't.
That's so funny to me. Especially the flashback with he's like, I've always been told. People always tell me that we look alike, and you flash back. And you realize that he's talking to a guy behind Winston who looks exactly like David Letterman.
This is why our casting was always on point.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect casting.
And then Schmidt appears in his costume. He is a public serpent, which...
The best.
That right there wins. I was like, that has stuck in my brain for the longest time. So he says that he reread some of Keaton's emails and changed his mind about coming to the party.
This further, but
he tells Winston that he loves his costume, and he thinks that Winston is Maya Angelou. and then I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, I can see that. I know why he thinks that.
Oh my God, that was one of my favorite moments. It caught me off guard. Okay. So now Jess is stressing. Stressing because Cece is about to show up and she made a pinky promise. And as we know, that is the highest level of a promise that you can make.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
And Nick is stressing.
Oh, yeah. He's stressing because he's worried about Schmidt finding out and going full Truman Show. Winston, again, says he's totally seen the movie. It's about the Civil War, right? You couldn't be further off. But I get it. And so they all run to the Batcave, a.k.a. 4C. Now, Jess tells Winston to head to Cece's and stall while she types another email and tries to fix the situation. She chugs from the bottle of whiskey. Meanwhile, Schmidt is standing right outside of 4C listening to all of this. She sends another email just saying that Keaton will meet him outside of the apartment in 30 minutes. Just then a knock at the door, more trick-or-treaters. This time, Jess sees a kid dressed as, dun dun dun, Batman. She gets a bright idea. Obviously, Jess gets a bright idea. And what's crazy about these things is that whenever Jess puts on like these costumes, they immediately turn into costumes that fit
like
her.
The Elvis.
Like the Elvis costume. I was like, that man is 4 times your size. But when you put it on, it fits perfectly.
I will say, she does have a sewing machine in her room.
Oh, she probably went and hooked it up.
Maybe she's just doing like a whole, alteration.
Probably.
Didn't make the show. Cutting room floor.
And her Batman voice,
God,
was terrible. It was terrible.
Batman.
Yeah, it's really fun.
So good.
So she runs away just as Schmidt is coming. Nick tells Schmidt to turn around because someone famous is out here. Oh, actually, I'm taking that back. Schmidt asks. He asks Nick if he's seen anyone famous out because now that the cat's out of the bag, Schmidt's kind of playing with them a little bit. He's kind of messing with him, And then just pops out from the alleyway. I want to say there was smoke coming out of the alleyway too, right? I was like, how?
They made it seem like it's like Gotham, right? It's like the New York alleyway where there's just like weird. It's not smoke. It's like there's that weird hot
steam,
dirt air. Yeah, steam coming out. You definitely shouldn't be breathing in.
I've been through many alleyways. I used to hang out in the back alleys, and I don't think I've ever seen that much steam or smoke coming out of the shadows like that. But we made it happen. So, Jess begins obviously doing her Batman voice. Schmidt is trying to make his way over to her, but she's, Nick is holding him back. He doesn't want to get close. He doesn't want the secrets to get revealed. He eventually breaks free and tells them both that he's not stupid.
Yeah.
He knows.
So
and he's known the whole
heartbreaking.
time. It is heartbreaking. And he tells them that they should be ashamed of themselves for hacking into the private email of one of the nation's finest actors.
Best twist, because you really think he's smart enough. You really think he's figured it out.
Oh my God.
But his sweet little heart, like he really still believes it. I love that twist so much because you think it's like it's over now.
Yeah, you think so.
But he's kept like the hope alive.
I love his email. I love Keaton Potatoes at AOL.com.
Potatoes.
Keaton Potatoes.
I always wonder about things like that when they do smart things like that with an email. Did the show like immediately like get that email? Or did, when it aired, did like a fan go and like grab it?
There's only one way to find out.
Should we send an email to Keaton Potatoes?
Yeah. Yes.
See who writes back to us?
Yeah. Let's mass email Keaton Potatoes. That's KeatonPotatoes at AOL.com.
Yeah. See what you get back and then screen grab it and tag us. We want to know.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I hope a fan has this email. And I hope
it would be so great. And if they wrote back.
Oh, yeah. So
what if Michael Keaton got it?
What if that really is his email? No, because at this point, fans have already emailed it.
You think so?
This episode came out a decade ago.
Please DM us. If you have, like, go to the Mess Around Pod on IG and DM our account there and let us know. Have you ever sent an email? What happened? We want to know.
We do want to know. Okay. But Nick is trying to convince Schmidt that it's been him the whole time. You know, how else would he know about specific things, about Schmidt kissing the bus driver or wanting to open up the glassware boutique in Connecticut or about the wall hole? Schmidt is in denial. He's like, this is impossible. I've been writing to Keaton since I was a kid. And that's when Nick breaks it to him that it was his mother's idea. You know, she was the one who helped him with his public erections, which is embarrassing because he drew pictures.
Which is also like such a like interesting character moment, I feel like, for Nick, because they could have kept the lie going, right? Because they could have just been like, I'm so sorry, we did that. You know, Keaton is still, you know, your buddy. But I think the weight of carrying it for so long, because it's Nick who's the one who tells the truth as opposed to being caught. Yeah. Time to grow in that friendship.
100%.
Time to grow.
But then you see each other, Cece and Schmidt. You know, Cece appears, Schmidt turns to walk the other way, and Schmidt bumps into a group of kids, and rightfully so, they beat him up because he was very mean to the trick-or-treaters. Well, he was mean to the trick-or-treaters at the door, you know, and kids are like owls. They never forget, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And
that's a very famous saying. Kids are like owls. They never forget.
Yeah.
That's the most Winston thing you've ever said in your life.
Print that up. Put it on a t-shirt.
Put that on a t-shirt? Just an owl.
Kids are like owls. They never forget.
The Truman Show is about the Civil War. Moving along. I know things. I have facts.
Okay, so the kids start beating them up with their bags of candy. Now, in the bathroom, Jess is apologizing to Cece about Schmidt. Cece says it's fine. She's been running away, and actually seeing Schmidt was some much needed closure. Now, is that I could understand that. I could understand, like, you know, you haven't seen a person a little bit, and then you see him, and then, you know, okay, now we're good. You know.
Yeah, like, now we just got to like deal with the feeling as opposed to running away from the feeling. And then I remember Zoe and I shooting this Batman-mobile scene because I don't know. It was one of like the longest, it was like a Family Guy style way that we shot it, where we just kept going. Like they made us do it nonstop, and then we would break and start laughing because we're like, how many more times, you guys? Like, how long is this actually gonna, like, there's a lot of story in this episode.
Yes, 100%.
How long are you gonna do it? And it was so funny to watch us. I remember in the moment, like figure out how do we sell the bit? Because obviously, like, Jess has to make it feel like to her that she's saying what I'm saying, which is kind of like with a little kid. If you've ever said to a little kid, like, try to correct their pronunciation on something, and then you say it for them correctly, and then they say it slower, but the exact same way. And then you try to say it like how they're saying it, and they can clearly identify that you're saying it wrong.
Yes.
That's what it felt like.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when folks say, I'm gonna go hit the ATM machine. Mm-hmm. When it's just ATM.
Oh.
Because you're gonna hit the ATM, because the M in ATM is machine.
Automatic teller machine. I could see you reaching for the A and the T right there. I could see it in your eyes.
No, I know
Automatic.
what it is.
Do you?
Yes, that's why I brought it up.
I know you mean the M. I'm asking you, do you know the A and the T? The automatic teller machine.
You do realize that I am the face of a bank, correct?
Stop bringing it up. It's a Canadian bank, and it still hurts my feelings that they chose you.
So you are aware that I would know. Any financial questions, you can come to me.
They don't sit there and give you like a bank lingo course beforehand.
No, but I have to know these things.
I will say, when I was in Canada, every other ad was you. Like, did you shoot one where you're like almost like sitting in a jungle and there was like a bird or something?
Yes.
I was like, what? This is a great ad. I gotta say, a great ad. It's also, I would like to say, ATM, if that's your pet peeve of the ATM machine, because that's ridiculous, is chai tea latte. Because chai is just the Hindi word for tea. Doesn't mean like, it's just tea. So a TT.
A TT latte.
Latte. It's just a chai latte.
Let me get one of them titty lattes. Don't say that fast. Don't say that fast at all.
You get kicked out of Starbucks. Okay.
Oh, 100%. Now they're sitting back on the curb. Schmidt asked Nick if it was him, not Keaton, who helped with his first breakup with Elizabeth. And who also told him that women aren't attracted to men who wear maternity pants. And then he talked about... I will
say, it is a real good holiday hack. You heard it here first, people. A really good holiday hack to wear like maternity leggings at Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner. It's like, it's just like there's like a little pouch just like built in as your stomach expands.
Oh, I guess I could see that. I guess I can understand that.
Yeah.
Me, I just don't eat that much. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, well, I mean, that's Olympic level style of resistance with delicious food.
I love the fact that they actually ran into Michael Keaton at one point, and then he winked at him, and Nick said that was the weirdest day of his life. Yeah. But anyway, they're friends. They're all good. The next day, while Schmidt and Nick are cleaning the apartment, Schmidt tells Nick that he's entering a new chapter in his life and that he thinks it's best that he do it alone. Dun, dun, dun. He's moving out.
Crazy.
Winston.
Crazy move in the series, by the way, to do that.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Big swing.
Big swing. And what's funny is that when Winston walks up, he tells them, this happened to me before. He walks in and lets them know that people are in his room having sex. And the reason why he thinks that is because they're still in there having sex. That happened to me once. I had a birthday party at my house. I thought everybody had gone.
Your old house?
Like my first home that I ever bought.
Oh.
And I had a birthday party. It was the first time of me throwing a party. And I thought I thought everybody had left. Like I went to my room and blacked out, just went to sleep. And I had my friends like telling, like I locked my door and was like, I need to go to sleep. And I'd fallen asleep for like 3 hours. So I wake up, I go use the bathroom, and I just hear somebody in my house. And I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck's in my house? I walk around downstairs. There's no one in my house. I slowly get upstairs. I open my door to my theater room that I'd built in there. And straight up, people were in there doing it. I had no idea who the fuck they were.
Oh my God.
Hannah, what I tell you, I was like...
What did you do? Did you go like, no?
Yeah, I was like, hey, I don't know you guys. I when I say I've never seen them, I was like, were they at the party? It wasn't a big house. I was like, what is happening right here?
Wait, were they like, did they really think that, like, were they like both fully naked, or they were just like, it was like, you know, just like a break in the clothes and they were just making it happen in a little quick moment?
Hannah, there were 4 butt naked people in there.
You walked into an orgy in your house?
Yes.
No.
And I was like, whoa, what the? Oh my God.
You sold the house? You're like, I'm never watching a movie in here again.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that was one of the reasons. It was because this part of my mind was, did they just walk in off the street when I was blacked out? Did someone forget to lock my door? Were they up there this whole a million thoughts, and I went, okay, I can't do that. I have to kick everybody out of the party before I go to bed. You know what I mean? There was no
the fact
lingering
that you would
people.
have to be at a point where you're doing like, you know what I mean? Like checking behind shower curtains, like looking in hallway closets.
Yeah.
When you end a party that's crazy.
That's crazy.
You need someone at the door with the guest list, and you need to make sure that they're crossing them off as they walk out too. To be like,
oh
okay,
my gosh.
Y'all are gone.
So I had to let them know, y'all got to go. Y'all got to go. And I called, who did I call? I think I called my boy Ramses or something. I forget who it was. And I was like, you're just going to let people walk up in my...
I love that you were so mad you needed somewhere to put it. So you call your best friend to just take the heat for a second. You're like, I need to yell at somebody. Someone needs to be responsible for this.
I forget who I called, but I just remember it being like, this ain't my fault. I told everybody I'm going to bed. Somebody's supposed to be looking out for me. And nobody
I have to get mad at somebody
me.
Right now. Someone's responsible and it can't be me.
Yeah, that could have been anybody up in there.
Or, ooh.
You know, baby oil everywhere. No.
Nope. We just figured out who it was.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh my God. He had a remote freak off. Anyway, we can cut that part. Anyway, we realized that Schmidt's moving out.
Yeah, he grabbed the douchebag jar. Mm-hmm.
Bids them adieu.
Bye-bye.
And as he's walking, they're giving him looks like, this is ridiculous, Schmidt. He turns around, and then he keeps walking. He realized that he's just moving right across the hall to apartment 4C, a.k.a. the Batcave.
Oh, wait, can I just say something? Fans, help me out on this one. Because this wasn't that Beverly's apartment, remember?
Yeah.
And then Beverly's dead. They found her dead.
Yeah.
But I don't think they found her on the toilet. So is that like just multiple people have just died? Or did Beverly die on the toilet and then like fall forward?
Well, yeah, you're talking about the Justin Long episode. Yeah. But wasn't she just on the floor?
That's what I'm
in
saying.
The bathroom? Yeah.
So is it a different dead person?
No, Hannah, when you die on a toilet, you fall off the toilet.
Why? What if rigor mortis
Hannah,
sets in? And your just butt sinks into it a little bit and you just there. And your just head drops.
Hannah,
you could die and like not...
Hannah, what in the small booty are you talking about? Nobody's butt is sinking through the toilet.
But you can fall in like that and then you get stuck. That'd
Hannah,
be terrible.
Miss Beverly had cakes, okay? She had them hams. She had them yams.
Thanksgiving hams.
She fell off that
All right, so
toilet.
she was up and then, so maybe it was Beverly. We just solved it. Booty cheek murder mysteries. That'll be our next podcast.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we're going to go to break.
What are we doing? Look, when we come back, I will say this. I have some piping hot tea about this episode, and I don't know if anybody knows it.
Oh, we'll be right back.
Oh.
And we are back. Hannah, you said something about piping hot chai tea?
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't peeve me right away. All right. So here's the piping hot tea. I remembered as soon as I knew we were doing this episode, because I remember all the chatter around this episode. Michael Keaton was supposed to appear in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Mm-hmm. The real Michael Keaton, right at the end, it was going to be, I think, in the tag or the last bit of Act 3, he was just going to walk by and they were going to have a moment. And that was really going to happen. And then I feel like they really held out for him. They held out for him, even shooting all week. Mm-hmm. And then they just couldn't make it happen. And I don't remember the reason why. I don't know if he was out of town or if nobody got back to them about it. Like, I don't know if it was lack of interest or scheduling or whatever it was. No. Or if it was just like a no, and they were just like kept pushing and trying to different angles and relationships. I don't know. But I do remember that was kind of like this hope to make this magical moment happen for Schmidt, that the real Michael Keaton was going to be in this episode. And then it didn't happen.
Michael Keaton.
Keaton.
Let me say something to Michael really quick. Michael, One award winner to another. What's the deal, man? Let us know. Help us understand why you weren't available that day. I mean, I'm sure you're busy. Obviously, you're one of the greatest of all time.
All time.
And schedules get crazy. But I want to know, do you remember this at all? Have you seen the episode? Did you feel bad about not showing up? Just you and I. One award winner to another. Should we send this in an email
to keatonpotatoes@AOL.com? Should we write this out?
Email you. We're going to email you, Michael Keaton, and we're going to figure this out. We have your email.
We're very connected to reality, Michael Keaton.
Let's mess around for a second. Babe.
Yeah, babe.
Best and worst Halloween costumes you've had in the past. Go.
This story is going to annoy you. Okay. So
I was in blackface.
Can you imagine? No, it's worse because this is just going to bore you and annoy you. I remember, so when I moved back to Canada and I was 17 years old, there was a vintage store in Vancouver called Value Vintage. And I went there. It was going to be like my first Halloween party to go to when I might have even been in high school. It might have been the year I moved back. So I was at Semiahmoo Secondary in White Rock and I needed a Halloween costume. And so I went to Value Vintage and I was like, I don't know. I'm not creative that way, or I'm not going to just like piece together something or like make a costume. Like that's not me. And there was, it's like a vintage store that was in like almost like a warehouse. So you had, thousands of pieces of clothing. Also, like, not for me. I'm not like a sifter. And I was standing there getting overwhelmed. My friend, who is the polar opposite of me, was like in heaven, building a costume out of all of these found vintage things. And not a Halloween store, right? Just like a vintage clothing store. And I then looked up and there was a dress that was hanging on a hanger in like the rafters. And so I asked the person who worked there, I was like, what's that dress? And she said, oh, it's been here for like as long as we've had this vintage store. And so they went and like got like one of those like hook things and like got it down. And there's no zip on it, no buttons, no nothing. It's like a silk long black dress. And on the waistband is hand embroidered Dorothy. And I guess back in the day, ladies of the night, for men that couldn't remember their names for the hour they have purchased, they would do that like in the 20s, 30s, whatever. They would do that. They would embroider it on their waistband. And I went and tried this. I assume she's no longer here, Dorothy.
You tried on a dead hooker's?
Correct. And again, it just had to either fit perfectly because it's like there's no zip or buttons or anything, or not. Beautiful dress. And so I put this little silk kind of dress on and it fit me perfect. And so that became my, what do you call it? Like get out of jail free card, Halloween costume. Every single year I brought Dorothy back and all my friends would know it. And it was like, Dorothy is back for Halloween. And so I've had the same costume for a million years, which by the way, as a woman is always a real test to go like, am I going to fit in this Dorothy dress again this year? Because if I don't, I might cry.
Hannah.
We'll put a picture up of it so you guys can see this Dorothy dress. But when I was a Much Music VJ, I wore it every year, like on air for Halloween.
Do you still have it?
I do.
You have a dead woman of the night's dress.
I kind of dig her. The energy of that dress is pretty cool.
What if she died in that? On the job.
I never thought of that. Don't ruin Dorothy for me. Moving along. What is your best or worst Halloween costume?
Best or worst? I had a few bad ones, but I would say best.
So I was in whiteface.
Fun fact.
No.
I did 1 year. Me and my buddy, shout out to Cisco Reyes. I don't know what we were thinking. We were like, it was last minute, and it was
not like, Cisco. Cisco.
No, Cisco Reyes. Actor.
What a wild song that was, by the way.
Yeah, no. And we, let me see your underwear. Like, damn, Cisco, relax. And he's not even just asking. He's like singing it, baby. Like,
So
that thong, your panties. Like, that's crazy.
it's a crazy song, and people were like singing it.
Yeah,
it was a huge hit.
Getting down to it, like, yeah.
Like when it,
show me your panties. That's crazy.
all right, okay, so different Cisco.
And we were like, oh, let's just go. We had suits, and we were like, let's just go as accountants. And so I went as Steve from accounting, and I forget his name, but he went as like Bill from accounting. So we were two accountants who worked together, and we straight up went whiteface. Was it a mistake?
You have a picture? Does that exist?
I probably have a photo somewhere. I probably took it down. Let me tell you something. Hannah, that was a troublesome. Back then,
back in the day,
back then people weren't tripping about whiteface. You know what I'm saying? Like back then, you could do whiteface and it'd be okay. Chappelle did it. A lot of these folks did it. Eddie Murphy, but when I did it, for some reason, it felt strange. One, because my makeup artist, aka myself, was not very good.
Fired them immediately.
I just looked sickly. It looked sick. People were like, "What are you? Like, what is on your face?" I'm Steve from accounting. But that was a very, very shitty costume.
That's not a great one.
No, it wasn't a great one. We already talked about what who the Keaton would be, Who
would you here? I had to actually have somebody to write me like life advice and to like be my celebrity like email pen pal.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that's like not possible because it would be Loretta Cher's character from Moonstruck.
Oh,
do you know what I'm saying? Or like just Cher. Wouldn't say no to that either.
Just Cher. Yeah, that'd be pretty damn cool. I would say
I love her. Dolly Parton would be a good one too.
Oh yeah. Oh honey, sometimes you got to just poke them out. I would say that's my Dolly Parton impression.
It's as good as the Steve. It's as good as the Steve costume.
I got a million of them. Folks. I would say Eddie Murphy. I would just, because he's been through a lot and, he's seen it all. And I'm like, Eddie, guide me. Guide me, the king. He's the king. So I'd want Eddie to guide me. Him or Martin Luther King.
Oh, I like this question. Ever had a nasty Sorry, I just heard what you just said. Ever had a nasty roommate breakup?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah,
yes.
Me too.
I've had some aggressive ones. I had one where I remember, and him and I are buddies now, but I mean, we don't see each other ever, but like when we do, it's all love. I think we like comment on each other's Instagrams, stuff like that. But this was years ago. And we were living together and he was living with me. He was, crashing with me for a little bit. And I remember I was at home watching a movie and he came home and he was just, as I'm trying to watch this movie, like my living room is dark. He sits on the couch on the other couch and he starts checking footage from his camera because he was off like working or something. But he doesn't have headphones on. He's just playing it loudly through the camera. Like, and at first I'm like, okay, maybe he's checking one or two things.
Yeah.
So then I pause the movie and he just keeps looking. So then I play the movie again to see if he gets the hint.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get the hint. And so I say, hey bro, I'm trying to watch this movie. And he goes, oh, okay, cool. And keeps playing it. So I take his little headphones and I toss it to him. And he like gets pissed. It's like, did you just throw headphones at me?
Oh.
And I was like, what? I was like, no, I'm giving you the headphones so you can put them on. You're over here being rude. And you just interrupt my movie so you can like do what you want to do. And it turned into like a little bit of a contentious situation. 2 days later, I'm on the phone with my mom. And I'm having a conversation with mom. He comes home and he's pissed about something. And he's going off. Like he's on the phone with someone and he's like cursing someone out on the phone loudly. And I'm on the phone with my mom. I'm like, bro, I'm on the phone with my mom. I'm like, bro. And he's like, what? And I said, you mean what? I'm on the phone. I said, Mom, let me call you back. And I hung the phone up. And at that point, I was so frustrated with him. I said, bro, you can't watch your tone while I'm sitting on the phone with my mother. Like, you come in here as if this is your place. This is not your place. This is my place. I'm allowing you to stay here. And then he was like, bro, get the fuck out of my face. It turned into a whole thing. And I don't know what it was. I was young. I was 25. And I just grabbed him by his shirt. Oh. And threw him up against the wall. And I was like, you got 10 minutes to get all your shit and get the hell out of my place.
Right.
And that was it. That was literally it. I had lost it. And then my mom called me back. She was like, who do you have living with you?
So you need to make better choices.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know, Mama. I'm sorry. I didn't realize he was in a mood today. Like he was, So, for someone who's not paying rent.
Yeah, exactly. You're not paying rent also. Like, hello, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Be spatially aware.
Rude.
I remember I moved to London and I got a flat and I was sharing it with another girl that got a job at the same place that I was getting. So we were strangers, but we were like, oh, we're both moving to London together. And I went ahead and I got the flat, and which was not easy. We had a limited budget. So it took my mom flew in to help, find it for this girl and for myself. Then she got to just show up and like move into like this like great little spot. Mm-hmm. Right. And she had a friend, and I think she just decided she would like to have this guy move in. And instead of me living there, I don't know what her thing was, but I will never forget. It was like a couple months into living together. We did not really we're not endeared to each other. Let's just say that we're fine. There's no issue as far as I knew, no issue. And the landlord calls me and he's like, your roommate just called and gave your notice. So I guess you're moving out. And someone else is moving in and is going to go on the lease. But he's like, I just thought it was strange because I talk to my landlord all the time. And he's like, and you never mentioned that you were moving out. And I said, what? I'm not moving out whatsoever. So I came home and I was like, hello, did you call and give my 2-week notice to move out? Oh, and this funny. Girl was so crazy. She had told her friend to give his notice, which he did. So and she went berserk saying like, it was my fault that her friend now was going to be out on the street, had nowhere to live. And she started throwing pots and pans and screaming at me. How dare you? Where's he going to go? You need to get out. By the way, it's mine was the main name on this lease.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, oh, like you're just like a lunatic. But the pots and pans, which is not like normal girl behavior. You know what I mean? I was just like, there was like things from the kitchen flying. And I was like, okay, I'm out. And I went and crashed at my friend's place for like 4 or 5 days to let it cool down. But then I was like, this situation has to end. Like whatever this is, it's like, you're violent. This has got to go, which is also seems like what happened in your story, where it was just like, as soon as hands are being laid, we should not cohabitate.
Oh, 100%. Oh, the part I left out about that was that the reason why I grabbed him and threw him up against the wall is because he got nose to my face. And like tapped me. And that's when I was like, oh. That's when you
got tapped in. You're like, okay, I guess this is it. You started.
Yeah.
You Eskimo kissed me into this fight. Let's go.
Okay. Well, Hannah, love you.
Great episode.
Great episode. Folks, thank you for listening. Be sure to make sure you follow us on IG at The Mess Around Pod. Next week, we will be back with one of my favorite episodes. It's the return of Coach.
Yes. Bye.
That was The Mess Around. This has been an iHeartMedia production. Our executive producer is Joelle Monique. Our engineer and editor is Mia Taylor. Additional production from Daniel Goodman, Wendy Heisler, and Kyle Chevron. Our theme song was written and composed by Ronald Jukebox Jackson. So we're going to catch you next time. Bye.